I live in Dublin, Ohio, the kind of suburb where porches have flags and the HOA emails you about your mailbox paint. At 12:41 a.m. my doorbell didn't ring, it pounded. Bang, bang, bang. I opened the door, and Tyler shouldered past me like he owned the deed. Dad, I need $5,000 right now. His hoodie dripped March sleet onto my hardwood. His sneakers screeched. The house felt suddenly smaller. Good evening to you, too. I kept my voice flat. What happened to the $3,000 I transferred last Friday? That barely covers rent, he snapped. And you know Columbus is expensive. Your lease is $1,850. We both signed the guarantor form, Tyler. I've seen the bank statements. That landed. His eyes flicked to the framed photo of my late wife, Laura, on the entry table. He always uses her like a shield when he's cornered. Look, Mom would have helped. This is you, not your mother. His jaw worked. He pulled out his phone and dropped it face up on the table. Venmo open. $5,000 request. Caption: Emergency medical. Medical? I asked. For who? For me. Anxiety meds. The good ones. Insurance won't. He stopped. Wrong script. What's the real emergency? I asked. Start with the casino charges I saw on Chase. Or we can pull up your credit card statements together. He recoiled like I'd slapped him. Why are you digging in my accounts? Because I'm the one who keeps paying them. That makes me your accountant, not your ATM. He stepped closer, testing me. Why should I struggle when you're sitting on money? You control everything. You like it. You're a narcissist with a ledger. There it was, classic gaslighting. Call the boundary abuse, so you never have to change. I straightened, Navy spine, garage owner voice. I'm not controlling you, Tyler. I'm refusing to fund your spiral. He laughed, ugly. After you die, I'm going to run Ellis Auto like it should have been run. I'll be an amazing boss. The word after echoed down the hall and rattled Laura's picture against the frame. I watched it tremble. He didn't even flinch. You just talked about my death like a door prize. He shrugged. It's not like you've updated the will since Mom passed. Everybody knows the business goes to me. It's only fair. Fair? I said. Fair is earned. He snorted, pacing in tight, angry loops, hands balled into fists. Spare me the Navy sermon. You want me to be responsible so you can keep the chains on. If I had access to the bank accounts, I wouldn't need to ask. You love seeing me crawl. Tyler, I said, I've paid your tuition, your car in cash, your security deposits, your credit consolidations. That wasn't love for power. That was a father being an enabler and calling it parenting. He stopped pacing. His voice dropped. Wire the $5,000, or I start telling people you're mentally unfit to run the shops. I'll get power of attorney. Courts listen to sons who care. Courts listen to documents, I said, calm because fear was useless. And I keep everything. Every transfer, every text, every email where you promised to get a job and didn't. That's written evidence. He grabbed the edge of the console table. The frame clinked again. He glanced at the door like it might open into a different life. $5,000, he said. Softer now, trying sweet. Come on, Dad. Help me out. And I'll stop going to the casino. I'll call Grandma tomorrow. Don't drag your grandmother into this. My voice surprised both of us. You called me a narcissist because I wouldn't bankroll your dopamine. This is toxic, Tyler. I'm not financing it. He straightened, mask back on. Then maybe you don't need the shops anymore. Maybe it's time I take over sooner. That sounds like a threat. It sounds like reality. He lifted his phone again, thumbs flying. Tyler text, 12:54 a.m. Send $5,000 now or I tell Aunt Deb you've been forgetting names at work. People will talk. Buyers get nervous. Me. You're threatening defamation to extort money. Keep texting. You're building my case file. Tyler. Lol case file. You think you're scary, BC, you have receipts? I looked at him. Really looked. My son, 28. Taller than me. Eyes I recognized. Choices I didn't. Go home, I said. Sleep. Tomorrow, you can come back with a resume and a plan that doesn't start with a wire. Tomorrow, he said. I won't need you. He yanked the door open so hard the house exhaled. Slam. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It had weight. I picked up Laura's photo and steadied it until the glass stopped shivering. In the kitchen, the pendant light hummed. I opened the file drawer bank folders, corporate docs, and the thick envelope labeled Will, Draft. I laid the papers on the table and stared. My hands were steady. My chest wasn't. I scrolled through our thread. Every promise. Every last time. Every thanks, Dad. The shape of a pattern. I paid. He sank. I paid again. I called it compassion. He called it normal. I hit record on the voice memos app. Note to self, I said. To the quiet. To the microphone. To the future me who would need courage. I've been an enabler. That ends now. Boundaries start with paper, and with me. I slid the draft will back into the envelope and wrote a date on the tab. When I turned off the kitchen light, the house stayed still. Laura's smile, framed in black, didn't tremble. Neither did I. Morning in Dublin, Ohio looks harmless: dog walkers, iced coffee, school buses. Inside my house, it felt like a courtroom. I brewed coffee I didn't taste and spread my life on the dining table. Bank folders, LLC binders for Ellis Auto, and the thick envelope marked Will, Draft. I pulled the old photo boxes from the hallway closet. Dust lifted like testimony. Laura smiling in every frame. Tyler small enough to ride my shoulders. My own face, younger, softer, clueless about the bill that would come due. The first photo. Tyler in a private school blazer. I remembered the invoice. $39,800 for a year of character building. I'd called it investing in his future. He'd called it normal. Next, his University of Cincinnati dorm photo: lofted bed, new rug, mini fridge that cost as much as a used Civic, which he also got. New, because he said used cars smelled like other people's failures. I found the cashier's check stub. $18,000. I remembered feeling proud. Now I felt complicit. I put the photos in a line with the matching receipts. Tuition, deposits, credit card payoffs, emergency loans for anxiety that turned into roulette at Hollywood Casino. Every transfer had a caption: love, second chance, last time. Under each, in invisible ink, enabler. My phone buzzed. Tyler, text, 9:12 a.m. Sorry about last night. Stress talking. I love you. Me, I love you too. We'll talk when you've got a plan. Tyler. Plan? You mean a lecture? I don't need therapy, Dad. I need runway. Runway without accountability is a cliff. He left me on red. Classic. When gaslighting doesn't land, the narcissist retreats to sulk and regroup. I took Laura's photo from the entry table and set it on the documents. I promised you I'd raise him right, I said to the glass. I mistook rescue for love. I opened voice memos again. Was I enabling their toxic behavior all this time by being too nice? I asked, out loud. So I'd have to hear the answer. It's time to stop feeling guilty and start fighting back. Then I called a number I'd been avoiding. Dr. Ria Patel. A therapist a buddy from the VFW swore by. She picked up on the second ring. Mark, I've got 45 minutes at 11. Zoom or in person? In person, I said. I'm better at telling the truth when there's a chair in front of me. Her office sat over a Pilates studio on Bridge Street, soft lamps, no nonsense, a discreet box of tissues like a warning label. She didn't waste time. Tell me the short version, she said. My son threatened to smear me as incompetent if I didn't wire him $5,000 at 1 a.m. I said. He called me a narcissist because I said no. I've been paying for his life since he learned to say please. What do you call that? She asked. Parenting, I said, then caught myself. No. Enabling. I've kept him a child with a credit limit. Good, she said. Now tell me what you're willing to change. I looked at my hands. Grease had lived under these nails for 30 years. Money had lived in my son's phone for 5. I'm done financing dopamine and calling it care. I'm setting boundaries that include consequences. Be specific, she said. Boundaries with teeth, not slogans. I took out a small notebook. 1. No cash transfers without written agreements and deliverables. 2. No access to company accounts, ever. 3. If he threatens me or the business, I document and call my lawyer. 4. If he mentions the will, the conversation ends. Dr. Patel nodded. Now the hard part. Boundaries with yourself. Then can mirror them. I wrote as she spoke. No rescuing to regulate my guilt. No silent deals. If I feel panic, I wait 24 hours. If I say last time, it's the last time. She watched me write, then leaned in. Tyler's behavior is toxic. He won't like the new rules. He'll escalate gaslighting, love bombing, threats. Expect a cycle. I can handle a cycle, I said. I used to ride out monsoons in the Navy. It's not the storm I'm worried about. She said gently. It's your guilt. It's addictive. You use generosity to numb it. You're going to feel cravings to fix things with money. That's your habit to break. I stared at the floor. Laura used to say generosity is my best quality. It still is, Dr. Patel said. You're going to aim it at people who aren't trying to drown you. When I left, I had a one-page boundary manifesto in my notebook and a follow-up appointment on her calendar. On the sidewalk, the air felt colder and cleaner. Back home, I opened my laptop and organized the evidence like I was prepping a trial. A folder labeled Tyler, Financial 2018-2025, with PDFs of bank transfers, Venmo, and credit card payoffs. A folder, communications with texts, emails, and a running summary, log dates, times, substance. A folder corporate with my LLC operating agreement, meeting minutes, and a list of who has access to what, no one but me and my manager, Eddie. I printed the summary log and signed my name at the bottom with today's date. Written evidence, I said to the empty room. Because memory gets bullied. My phone buzzed again. TYLR text, 1:37 p.m. Lunch? My treat. Want to talk like adults. Me. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The shop office. Bring a resume and a budget. We'll discuss job paths, not wires. Tyler. You're really doing this to me? After everything? Me. I'm doing this for me. And for the business. Boundaries keep families from becoming hostages. No reply. I set Laura's frame back on the entry table and looked at the will, draft envelope. I could feel a tripwire in my chest. Change the will and he'll say I never loved him. Don't change it, and I'll keep rewarding threats. I took a pen and wrote across the outside of the envelope in block letters. Sign. Notarize. File. Then I drew 3 boxes beside each word and checked the first one in advance, like a promise borrowed from the future. On the console table, my phone lit up with a calendar invite I'd made for myself. Meet attorney, 3:30 p.m. Friday. I stared at it until it felt real. I slid the envelope into my briefcase and zipped it shut. Laura, I said, because some promises you make twice. I'm going to stop trying to buy peace. I'm going to make it. 2 days of silence, then the ping that always arrives when guilt is supposed to pay the bill. Tyler text, 8:06 a.m. Dad, I've been thinking. You were right. Let's reset. Just you and me. Glacier National Park. Like old times. Me. Why Glacier? Tyler. Because I scored backcountry permits and the vehicle reservation they expire tomorrow. Flights to Kalispell, GPI, already booked. I paid. My treat. No casinos, no drama, just us. Urgency, the favorite costume gaslighting wears when it wants you to stop thinking. Me. Tomorrow? That's fast. Tyler, life's short. You always say that. I want to prove I'm not the toxic son you think I am. He had quoted me back to me. Narcissists love mirrors. I stared at the message thread until my coffee went cold. Glacier in March is still winter. Permits, expiring tomorrow, sounded more like a script than a calendar. I thumbed voice memos. Note to self. This smells like manufactured urgency. If I go, I control paper and proof. I called Ava Kim. She answered on the first ring. Morning, Mark. Sound tight. What's wrong? Tyler invited me to Glacier. Tomorrow. Says he already bought flights and backcountry permits that disappear at midnight. A beat then. Classic scarcity play. Can you come in today? Her office was all glass and steel and zero hand-holding. She slid a legal pad across the desk. Let's do this clean, she said. First, the will. I have a draft. We'll finalize now. She typed as she spoke. We revoke all prior wills, name you as sole trustee of any testamentary trusts, and disinherit by name with an in terrorem clause, specific bequests to veterans orgs, wildlife conservation, and a Laura Ellis scholarship. Your manager Eddie gets key man provisions so the business stays steady. I nodded. And POA? We're not granting one, she said. If anyone presents a POA out there, you didn't sign it. We'll put a notarized affidavit on file stating you have no active POA and instruct banks to flag any attempts. I'll also add a bank letter. No phone transfers. No changes to beneficiaries without in-person verification." She paused. "Bring ID, your passport, and this affidavit copy on the trip." We moved like a pit crew. I initialed every margin, signed every page. 2 witnesses from her firm signed. The notary stamped, embossed, and entered it into the notary log with time and ID number. Ava slid a single page toward me. Checklist. Boundaries and evidence. Phones. Keep your phone on you at all times. Airplane mode only if you must. Otherwise, keep location history active. Paper. Carry a photocopy of the will's cover page and the no-POA affidavit. Record. In Ohio and Montana, one-party consent to record. You can record your own conversations. Use voice memos if anything turns coercive. Travel receipts. Screenshot permits. Tickets. Texts. Email them to yourself with subject TYL. Trip evidence. Boundaries. No wires. No cash. You pay only for your own meals and gear. Emergency. If you feel unsafe, you call 911. In the park, you find a ranger. Wilderness abandonment is not a prank, it's attempted murder out there. She looked at me like a medic checking a tourniquet. "You still want to go?" "I want answers," I said. "And I'm done bringing guilt to a knife fight." "Then add one more step," she said, softer. "Text him for paper. Get his tomorrow or nothing in writing." I texted in front of her. Me. Text. Confirming. Flights to GPI tomorrow. Backcountry permits expire tomorrow. "And you already paid?" Tyler. "Yes. Clock's ticking." "You in?" Me. "I'll meet you at CMH. Send itinerary, permit PDFs, and the cabin list you booked." Tyler. "Backcountry. No cabins. It's supposed to be real. Then send the PDFs. 3 dots. A long pause. Then attachments, blurry screenshots that looked like they'd been forwarded twice. Ava's eyebrow flicked. "Those aren't the original PDFs. They're screenshots. Save them anyway. I'll pull metadata later." She printed a letter of instruction for my shop manager, sealed it, and handed me a slim flash drive. "Encrypted copy of your estate docs. Don't put it in checked baggage. Also, I'll file the will's self-proving affidavit with the Franklin County Probate Court tomorrow at 9 a.m., whether you're in Ohio or Montana. Thank you." As I stood to leave, she added, "One more thing, Mark. If he tries love-bombing Dad, you're my hero, or threats, sign this or I tell people you're unfit. You don't debate feelings. You demand documents. Toxic people suffocate in paper trails." At home, I packed like a man who expected weather-layered synthetics, not guilt. I slid the no-POA affidavit, a copy of the will's first page, and Ava's checklist into a waterproof pouch that went in my jacket, not my bag. TYL or text. 4:22 p.m. Meet at CMH Concourse B, 610A. Don't be late. I'll bring the gear. Me. I'll bring my own gear. Tyler. Don't overthink this, Dad. We're fixing us. Me. We're testing boundaries. He sent a thumbs up emoji, which felt like a smirk. I opened the boundary manifesto I'd written with Dr. Patel and read it out loud until the words belonged to me. No wires. No silent deals. No rescuing to regulate guilt. If threatened, record and call counsel. Then I emailed myself a new note with the subject line, Glacier. Written evidence start. Attached Tyler's screenshots. My itinerary. Ava's checklist. And a photo of the notarized stamp with date and time. I CC'd Ava and my secondary email I never use. On my way to the garage to grab my pack, I stopped by Laura's frame. "Tomorrow," I told her. "I'm not going to save him with money. I'm going to save myself with paper." The house was quiet. The porch flag barely moved. I set my alarm for 4:30 a.m., turned on Find My iPhone, and slipped the flash drive into my pocket like a talisman. If this was a trap, it would be the kind with receipts. CMH. Concourse B. 6:07 a.m. Tyler arrived with a brand new pack he could barely lift, and the kind of grin you wear to sell a lie. "Ready for a reset?" he said. "Ready for a paper trail," I said, and tapped my chest pocket where Ava's checklist, the no-POA affidavit, and the will's cover page sat in a waterproof sleeve. 2 flights and a rental counter later, Kalispell air bit clean through my jacket. We took a gray 4Runner east under a sky the color of steel. Snowbanks crusted the shoulders. The mountains looked like teeth. At Glacier Outdoor Supply, Tyler moved like he had a shopping list written by YouTube. 550 paracord, 2 high-lumen headlamps, flares, 4 packs of lithium batteries, and a coil of nylon rope that could drag a car. He skipped the stuff that actually keeps you alive: map, compass, insulating layers, until I dumped those on the counter myself with bear spray and an Avenza Topo download card. The clerk's face was a roadmap of winters. "You boys heading where?" "Backcountry," Tyler said too fast. "Something real. Real is what kills people," the clerk said. "Trail? Which one has the fewest people?" Tyler asked. Like isolation was a feature. The clerk slid a brochure over with a finger scarred white. Nyack divided by Coal Creek is remote. No cell. River crossings. This time of year, you're your own ambulance. Tyler smiled like he'd won something. My stomach went cold. While I paid, I watched him step outside and turn away to take a call. Shoulders hunched, voice low. The window glass carried a few words in. "Yeah, no, he came. Tonight. Don't." Then, he saw me watching and hung up. "Forecast?" I asked as he came back in, casual voice, navy eyes. "Storm moving in," he said, checking nothing. "We should get deep fast." I had checked the forecast on the drive. Clear, cold, stable. Manufactured urgency wearing a parka. We parked at the Apgar Visitor Center. The backcountry desk smelled like wet wool and coffee. A ranger in a green shirt and command presence. Ranger Elena Ortiz looked us over in one practiced sweep. "Boots, packs, posture. Where to?" she asked. "Nyack divided by Coal Creek," Tyler said, leaning into the counter like a regular. Ranger Ortiz didn't look up from her map. "Experience?" "I've camped a ton," he said. "We want the full wilderness." She looked at me. "And you?" 20 years Navy, survival training. Don't mistake that for Glacier experience." That earned the smallest nod. She tapped the map. Coal divided by Nyack in March is advanced. River crossings are knee to thigh with ice shelves. You'll see fresh grizz sign along the benches. No bridges. No cell. SAR time minimum 12-18 hours longer if weather shifts. Most folks start with Lake McDonald corridor or guided snow routes. She's then. Tyler pushed his phone screenshots of permits across the counter like a winning hand. She didn't touch them. "We issue permits from this system." She turned her monitor so we could see the real interface. "Those are screenshots. I can't validate those. They're from the portal," he said, throat tightening. "Then you'll have the original PDFs," she said evenly. "Email them to our address right here. We'll verify the barcode. Otherwise, we start fresh route, camps, bear can checks." I slid the screenshots back into my pocket. "We'll start fresh. Paper beats performance." Ava's voice in my head. Ranger Ortiz ran us through the safety brief like she'd buried people out there. Food storage, bear spray deployment, hypothermia onset, map orientation, emergency protocols. She placed 2 hard plastic bear-resistant canisters on the counter like helmets and watched whether we flinched. "Last questions," she said. "You understand that abandonment out there is a criminal act. We've prosecuted it. This is not Instagram. This is felony territory if you play games." "I understand," I said. Tyler laughed, too loud. "We're good. My dad's basically a survival manual." Her eyes didn't leave his face. "Manuals don't carry you across creeks. You do. Sign here that you've been briefed, and here that you accept delayed rescue times." We signed. I used the black pen I'd used at Ava's office. The date looked heavier today. Outside, as we loaded the 4Runner, Tyler said, "You always have to bond with authority, huh? Teachers, rangers, judges. People who keep other people alive," I said. "Yes." He yanked a strap too hard and winced, favoring his right shoulder. "Old injury," he muttered. "Then you don't carry the heavy rope," I said. "Distribute weight, or you'll burn out in an hour." The park road narrowed as we headed toward the Nyack access. Snow-shadowed spruce scratched the mirrors. My phone bars slipped to 1, then none. Tyler exhaled like relief. "Turn off your location," he said. "Save battery." "They'll do with," and dialed. "I like people to find me if I fall in a river," I said, and tapped Find My to confirm. The blue dot held steady. The waterproof sleeve in my chest pocket pressed warm against my ribs. "No POA affidavit. Will cover." Ava's checklist, my triage kit for gaslighting. We stopped at a turnout to repack. I laid out gear like an inspection: map, compass, canisters, first aid, layers, and the small orange PLB Ava insisted I buy that morning. Tyler tried to pocket it. "That stays with me," I said. He grinned like I was cute. "You trust me or not?" "I trust systems," I said, and clipped the PLB to my shoulder strap. "Not moods." He rolled his eyes and trudged to the rear hatch. While he rearranged his theater props, I opened voice memos and spoke quietly. "March, Glacier. Nyack access. Ranger briefed. Screenshots rejected. Real permit issued on site. Red flags. Secret call. Rope-heavy shopping list. Fake forecast. Shoulder pain. Evidence package continues." I hit save. Back on the road, the forest closed in until the world was a tunnel of ice and bark. Tyler tapped the dash. "There," he said, pointing to a plowed-out shoulder and a weathered wooden post at the tree line, half buried. "A sign for people who can read the woods." "We'll park here," he said, energized by the emptiness. "We'll mark here," I corrected, pulling out a small notebook and writing plate number, time, route, and our new permit code. I snapped a photo and emailed it to myself with the subject, Glacier entry point CCing Ava. He watched me, amusement draining. "You always need a witness?" "In toxic stories," I said, meeting his eyes. "Paper is the only friend that never lies." The wind nosed down from the ridgeline. Somewhere deep in the timber, a raven croaked. I felt the weight of the pack and of choices. "Mask up," I said. "Spray on the shoulder. Bells if you like noise. We hike in together. We hike out together." Tyler smiled, thin and glassy. "Sure, Dad. Together." They got undone Nabel to certainest feel. Dawn in the trees is a rumor, blue light, no heat. I woke to the sound of zippers and metal clanking near the forerunner. Not camp sounds, extraction sounds. I unzipped the tent. Tyler was at the hatch with a kind of focus I'd never seen: methodical, efficient, military without the military. Headlamps, food canisters, first aid, map, even the orange PLB I'd clipped to my strap last night, all getting stacked into the trunk like evidence disappearing into a vault. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Packing," he said without turning. "Weather's changing." "It's not," I said. Ranger Ortiz said clear. So did the forecast. He shut the hatch. The sound cracked the quiet. He finally faced me. Something old and mean sat behind his eyes. "I'm changing," he said. "That's the weather. Put the gear back." I kept my voice level. "We hike in together. We hike out together." He smiled with all his teeth and none of his soul. "No, Dad. You hike out alone. Consider it exposure therapy for your control issues." "Tyler," I said. "Don't do this." He tilted his head toward the timber. "Go meet the grizzlies. There it was the line you don't come back from. The door prize he thinks I'll win. You leave me here, that's attempted murder," I said. "Wilderness abandonment is a felony. They prosecute it." He shrugged. "If you were stronger, you'd be fine. You always taught me to be independent, right? Time to model it. Leave the PLB." He patted his jacket, not even subtle. "I've got my own boundaries." He slid into the driver's seat. I stepped forward. He reversed before my hand hit the door, fishtailed, and straightened onto the rutted spur like he'd rehearsed it. For a second, our eyes met through the windshield. No hesitation. Then the forerunner shrank between the firs and was gone. Silence in winter is heavier than summer. It presses. Shock is a feeling. Protocol is a plan. I forced my breath slow and ran the checklist I used in places that wanted you dead. Resources, layers on body, knife in pocket, matches, half a liter of water, my phone with 8% battery, map, paper in my jacket, because I don't outsource my life to anyone's mood. PLB gone. Fine. Environment. Timber benches dropping toward Coal Creek. Sun still low, north is cold, west is out. Priorities. Shelter if needed. Water with treatment by boiling if I must. Movement toward visibility. Noise for bears. I opened voice memos and spoke for the record. Abandoned by Tyler Ellis at time. Coordinates here. I panned the phone across the tree line so the compass overlay would catch in the clip. Statement saved to Glacier. Written evidence. Haven to the district darkness. I jammed the phone back in my chest pocket, tied off the bear bells to my belt, and started west on the faint track we'd cut coming in. Every 20 steps I talked to the forest like it owed me rent. "Hey, bear. "Hey bear," loud enough to telegraph. Where the trail smeared into game paths, I looked for what Ortiz drilled. Fresh scat, steaming equals danger, cold equals history. Tree rubs, the clean V where hooves have decided for 1,000 mornings where to go to water. South of us, where light pooled, a cut in the timber suggested a drainage. Water means people eventually. My knees complained. Anger outran them. I broke branches at eye level as I went breadcrumbs for search and rescue, or for a prosecutor whoever found the story first. At a deadfall, I scraped me and an arrow into bark with the knife and pictured a jury. An hour in, the creek announced itself as a hush that got louder. Coal, slate, and cold. I followed it downstream, staying high on the bank where ice shelves pretended to be bridges. A set of moose tracks the size of dinner plates crossed below me, going where I wasn't. Water solved thirst. I boiled with the small S-bit cube I keep in a film canister because I'm old and paranoid. I drank, let the heat in, then moved. Cold rewards motion. That's when I heard it. Not river, not wind engines. Low, steady, coming from the west like a promise you don't trust but follow anyway. I stopped, held my breath, and counted between echoes. Not highway rumble, ATVs or UTVs on a service road. Glacier doesn't allow off-road motorized in the backcountry, but the Flathead National Forest boundary runs like a shadow along this side. A fire road could be close. I angled toward the sound, pushing through alder and dead fern, the noise separating into 2, 3, 4 distinct throats. Branches slapped my jacket. Ice shards rattled down slope. I broke out into a cut where the creek grazed a gravel bar, and a 2-track pinched the bank. 4 machines idled under men in helmets and snow bibs. The leader killed his engine the second he saw me and swung a leg off. He had a ranger's eyes, the kind that clock boots, posture, pallor in one sweep. "You okay?" he asked. Voice calm. All his friends went quiet. "My name's Mark Ellis," I said. "My son left me in the backcountry, took our gear, drove out." I felt the words and watched them land. "Left you," he repeated. Not a question. He pulled off his helmet. Cole Bennett, stamped across his jacket on a patch I didn't know I needed to see. Under it, Flathead SAR Ret. I used to be a ranger here. One of his friends handed me a Nalgene. I drank like it was policy. Cole looked over my shoulder like he could see the path Tyler took. "When?" "An hour, maybe 90 minutes. "Okay." He flicked a glance to his crew. "Radio's garbage down here, but we can get you to a ridge in 15 and hit dispatch. There's a fire road that cuts you to the Apgar side fast. You want to involve law enforcement now? Or do you have other plans?" His question hung in the cold like a lifeline braided with wire. I saw the motel desk in my head, the camera in the adjoining room. Ava's voice. "Toxic people suffocate in paper trails. I want to be in front of him when he gets back," I said. "And I want everything he says recorded." Kuntaili. Cole's mouth did something like a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Climb on, Mark." He pointed at the second machine. "We'll take the fire road along the Flathead boundary. He'll think the woods swallowed you. Instead, you'll be waiting." I swung on behind him, my knees reminding me I was 58 and insulted. He handed me a spare helmet and pulled a radio to his mouth. "Bennett with 3. Found a subject abandoned near Cole. Moving to ridge for contact. Possible criminal abandonment." "Copy." The machines rolled. Trees stuttered past in a green-gray blur. The creek fell away. We climbed into a sky that brightened like long odds improving. At the ridge, Cole keyed the mic again, tossed call signs and coordinates into the air where adults catch them. "Mark," he said over the engine noise. "You sure you don't want to hit the PLB?" "He took it," I said. "And I'm not dying today. I'm documenting." He nodded once, like a verdict. "Good. Then we'll document." We dropped off the ridge into timber again, the machines shouldering the land like arguments. In my pocket, the waterproof sleeve warmed against my ribs no-POA affidavit. "Will cover," checklist. On the far side of the trees, the road would spit us out near Apgar, and a bed with a door that locks and a camera that records. If this was a trap, it had just become a stage. Apgar came up out of the trees like a promise plowed lots. Steaming chimneys. The kind of motel where boots live outside doors. Cole's crew peeled off. He parked, killed the engine, and turned to me with the calm of a man who's found wrecks and still believes in exits. "You want ER, Sheriff, or stage?" he asked. Stage, I said. Then Sheriff. Good, he said. We'll do both clean. Inside the Apgar Motor Lodge, the desk bell chimed like a small verdict. I booked room 12 for me and room 14 for Cole, with the connecting door between 12 and 13 propped just enough for a camera to see the desk in 12. The manager, a woman with glacier blue eyes and decades of quiet, didn't ask for a story. She slid me 2 keys and said, "Coffee's at 6. Sheriff's on speed dial." In room 12, I moved like a man setting a tourniquet. I put Ava's checklist, the no-POA affidavit, and the will cover page on the desk, corners squared, date and time stamped in the photo I took. I placed my phone on the table, opened voice memos, and changed the title field to Glacier Confrontation 01, Visible Recording. I pulled the chair so the door opened into a clear line of sight. Cole swung into room 14 with a mirrorless camera, tripod, and a small shot timer from his SAR days. "Montana's weird about audio," he said. "If he walks into your room and you say, 'I'm recording,' you're good. We'll prioritize video and witnesses. I'll be 1. Manager will be 2. If he says anything through the open door, that's practically a shouted confession." Copy. He leveled the tripod through the crack in the connecting door and pointed at the red tally light. "We'll sync timestamps with your phone clock and the local news on the TV. Chain of custody. I'll dump footage to a fresh SD. We'll both sign the label. Manager locks it in her office safe until the sheriff arrives." I texted Ava. Me text, 5:11 p.m. MST. Back at Apgar. Safe. Setting controlled confrontation. Visible video. Announced audio. Witnesses secured. Sheriff on standby. Ava. Good. Filing will at 9 a.m. ET regardless. After the convo, call 911 and ask for deputy. Use phrase criminal wilderness abandonment. Email me your room photos, time-stamped. Also email this. A list of everything Tyler took, PLB, map, first aid, food. Me, on it. I shot room photos. Door, desk, documents, clock on the TV newscast, my phone screen with time. I emailed them to myself and Ava with the subject, Glacier Room 12, Evidence Package, 5:19 p.m. MST, and CC'd my debt account I keep for days like this. Cole handed me a yellow legal pad. Outline your talk track. Keep it boring. Facts pin narcissists like bugs. I wrote 4 bullets. Abandonment. You left me without gear. That's a felony. Say it back. My last quote. You said, "Go meet the Grizzlies." Confirm. Motive. Your texts about money, demands for access to accounts, comments about the will. Boundary. I changed the will. $0. I'm calling the sheriff. Cole nodded. Good. Don't debate feelings, demand documents. If he threatens to smear you, ask in writing. He'll overplay. I set 911 on my phone's home screen. The manager came to the doorway like a quiet ally. If he gets loud, she said, I'm your 3rd witness. I called Ava once, because hearing her voice steadied something in me. Remember the frame, she said. This is his story on your paper. You will announce your recording. You will not corner him physically. You'll let law enforcement do the custody. When he leaves, call 911. Then me. And the will? It's bulletproof, she said. Filed in the morning. Even if he tries to charm you, nothing changes unless you die, and today isn't that day. We hung up. The sky outside dimmed into that hard blue you only get near snow and mountains. 6:02 p.m. The forerunner hadn't appeared. Cole checked his watch. If he took the long loop, he'll think he's beating nightfall by minutes. Entitled people love cinematic entrances. He wants to walk into an empty room. Give him you instead. That do or prevent. I opened voice memos and practiced the first line. For the record, I'm recording this conversation in my room at Apgar Motor Lodge, room 12. Time 6:14 p.m. MST. I put the will cover at a tilt, where his eye would land. Under it, the no-POA affidavit. The stamp, shining like a stop sign. Headlights swept the lot at 6:21. V6 rumble that matched the forerunner. The vehicle idled, then cut. Footsteps. Key in the lock. Scrape. Pause. Second try. The handle turned. I sat facing the door, hands on the table, voice ready, heart steady. The door opened. Tyler stepped in with a look rehearsed in front of a mirror. Grief, shock, relief, all crammed into bad theater, then froze. The masks fell in a ripple. What walked forward was anger. "Hi, Tyler," I said. "For the record, I'm recording this conversation in my room. Room 12. Time 6:22 p.m. MST. Sit." He didn't sit. He scanned the desk and saw the documents. His pupils widened. "What is this?" "Paper," I said. "Your enemy." He snorted, posture shifting to swagger. "You scared me, old man. You shouldn't wander off like that." "You left me," I said. "Without gear, without food, without the PLB. That's criminal abandonment." "Say it clean," he smirked. "You're fine. You're here. You said, go meet the grizzlies." "Repeat it." He looked at the door, then back at me, hedging. "You misheard. This not a crate." I slid the legal pad toward him. "Write what I misheard." He didn't touch the pen. "Let's move to motive," I said. "You demanded $5,000. You threatened to tell people I'm unfit to get power of attorney and access to my bank accounts. You told me after I die you'll run the shops. That's papered in texts." His jaw twitched. He flicked a glance toward the connecting door, sensed a presence he couldn't name, and came back at me with the oldest play in his book. "Look," he said, soft now, eyes bright with performative empathy. "I messed up. I panicked. This trip was supposed to heal us. Dad, I love bomb you because you deserve it. You're my hero." "Documents," I said. "Not feelings. If you want to say heal, write it in a statement." I left Mark Ellis in the backcountry at time, with the intent to teach him a lesson and accelerate my access to assets. His face cut open into fury. "You set me up. You invited me to a crime scene," I said. "I turned it into a record. I let the silence do work. If you don't fill it, narcissists will." He lunged for the documents. I slid my hand down, palm over the no-POA affidavit. "Touch the paper," I said, calm. "And I call 911 now." He withdrew, breathing hard. "Here's the last piece," I said, and tapped the will cover. "3 weeks ago, I changed the will. You inherit 0. The shops go into trust with Eddie holding a key man clause. The money goes to veterans, wildlife, and the Laura Ellis Scholarship. Your plan is already dead." Color drained like someone pulled a plug. He looked smaller, suddenly, like a kid in a coat that didn't fit. "You can't do that," he said. "I'm your son." "You were," I said. "Today, you're a man who abandoned his father in grizzly country for money. Those two identities are not the same." He searched my face for a weakness he could spend. He found none. "Get out," I said. "I'm calling the sheriff." He didn't move. I picked up my phone and pressed 911. The ring felt like a door closing. In the connecting room, the red tally light glowed. On the desk, the stamps shone. In my chest, the fear finally let go of the wheel. "Flathead County 911, a woman said. "What's your emergency?" I answered like a man reading his own affidavit. "Criminal wilderness abandonment by Tyler Ellis. I'm at Apgar Motor Lodge, room 12. I have written evidence, video, and a witness on site. Please send a deputy." Tyler opened his mouth. For once, he didn't find words. The dispatcher kept me talking, location, names, what he took, how long I'd been left while Tyler stood there. Trapped between the door and the desk, between performance and proof. "Units are en route," she said. "Stay on the line." I'm in room 12. I repeated. "The witness is in room 14 with a camera. Manager can verify. Subject's name is Tyler Ellis. He removed our PLB, food, maps, and left me in the Nyack divided by Coal Creek backcountry." Tyler hissed. "Hang up. We can fix this. This is me fixing it," I said. He tried one last pivot love bombing on a timer. "Dad," I freaked out. "I'm sorry. I'm not a narcissist. For the record," I said clearly into the phone. "The subject is now minimizing and attempting gaslighting, claiming it wasn't abandonment, only a lesson. He told me to go meet the grizzlies." He flinched. The line went quiet except for the dispatcher typing. "Deputy will be there in approximately 7 minutes, she said. "If he tries to leave, do not block him physically. We'll intercept. Keep your door open if you're comfortable. Our deputy's bodycam will capture audio as they approach." "Copy," I said. I set the phone on the table, speaker up. Tyler stared at it like it might bite. He looked at the will cover, at the no-POA affidavit, At the legal pad bullet points with his motives in ink, you could see the calculus failing. "If you don't press charges," he said, voice thin, "we can talk about the will." "There is no talk about the will," I said. "It files at 9 a.m. ET. He laughed short. "Wrong. What if something happens before 9, and this fall?" Cole's voice came from the connecting door, steady and quiet. "Bad idea, son." Tyler startled, eyes searching the crack like it was a trapdoor. "Who's that?" "Witness," I said. The sheriff's unit rolled in with the confidence of an answer. Red and blue washed the curtains. A knock firm, official, Flathead County Sheriff. A deputy stood framed in the doorway, winter hat, calm eyes, bodycam glowing. "Everything okay to enter?" "Yes," I said. "Come in." He stepped inside, took in the desk, the documents, my phone on speaker, Tyler's posture. "I'm Deputy Hanks. Sir, your name?" He nodded at Tyler. "Tyler Ellis." "Mr. Ellis, I'm going to ask you to stand over here." He positioned him by the dresser, hands visible. To me, "Mr. Ellis, other Mr. Ellis, tell me what happened," starting simple. I did it like an affidavit. Dates, times, trailhead, what he took, his exact words. He said, "Go meet the Grizzlies." He removed our PLB. I navigated out alone and encountered Cole Bennett, retired ranger, who brought me back via Fire Road. "We set video in this room. That camera is recording. Manager is a witness. I have texts and screenshots of his urgency scheme." Hanks nodded once, then turned to Tyler. "You're hearing what your father is alleging. Do you want to respond?" Tyler lifted his chin. "We argued. He wandered off. He's old. He forgot his gear. Created. Did you remove the gear from his vicinity?" Hanks asked, voice neutral. "No." "Do you consent to me looking in your vehicle for the items he says you took? PLB, maps, food, first aid?" "No," Tyler said quickly. Then he remembered consent law and swallowed. "I mean, you need a warrant, right? We can secure the vehicle while we work on that," Hanks said evenly. He turned his head toward my open phone. "Dispatch, log that we have probable cause of criminal wilderness abandonment. Request a second unit and start a search warrant draft for the vehicle on site." "Copy," the dispatcher said. Tyler snapped. "You can't call it criminal." "He's fine." Hanks looked at him. "I've worked SAR. People die out there without gear. Fine isn't the standard. Intent and actions are." He angled his body so the body cam had both of us. "Mr. Ellis, older, will you show me the documents on the desk?" I slid them forward. No-POA affidavit with notary stamp and log number, the will cover page, Ava's checklist with timestamps and my initials, my printed summary log of transfers and threats. Hanks examined them, reading the relevant lines out loud for the camera. "No active power of attorney. Estate plan updated. One-party consent jurisdiction noted. Evidence log maintained." He glanced up. "You've been thorough." "His lawyer's better," I said. "At lawyer," Tyler cracked. "He's staging this. He wanted me to look bad. He's been controlling me for years." Hanks let the silence vacuum up the excuse. Then, "Mr. Ellis, young, did you tell your father to go meet the Grizzlies?" Tyler's eyes flicked toward the door, toward the camera, toward me. "That's context. It's a quote," Hanks said. "Did you say it?" Tyler picked a hill and died on it. "Yeah," he spit. "I said it." "So what?" The room changed temperature. Hanks didn't blink. "Thank you," he said, like a man receiving a form. "Turn around, please." "What? No, wait. Tyler Ellis, you are under arrest for criminal endangerment and attempted deliberate homicide under Montana law, pending charging decision by the county attorney." He read Miranda with the cadence of someone who respects rights because he knows what they're worth. Tyler's hands shook as the cuffs closed. Cole stepped through the connecting door with the camera, the manager behind him. Hanks nodded to both. "Names for the report?" They gave them, Cole added. "I have video from the moment he entered the lot. Audio begins when Dad announced recording. Chain of custody ready." Hanks looked at me. "Do you have any injuries? Do you need EMS?" "No, just a clean copy of my statement." "You'll give it to me now," he said. "And then to the detective in the morning. We'll secure the vehicle and apply for a warrant. If the PLB and other gear are inside, that corroborates your account. We'll also request the ranger briefing log. They warned you both about abandonment." "They did," I said. "Ranger Ortiz. Good, Hank said. That goes to intent. Tyler thrashed uselessly. Dad, don't do this. Please. I wasn't going to leave you long. It was a test. You love tests. Navy guy, right? Tests have rules, I said. You broke all of them. He tried a new angle. If you press charges, I'll tell people you're losing it. I'll go on Facebook. Hank's cut in, eyes on me. You want to add witness tampering by threat to the report? Yes. I said. Add it. I mind. Tyler's mouth opened and closed like he was drowning on dry land. The second unit arrived. A deputy took custody of the keys, met Hanks's eyes, and nodded once. Hanks guided Tyler to the door. At the threshold, he turned him slightly so the bodycam caught a clean profile. For the camera, Hanks said. Repeat what you told your father. Tyler glared. Go meet the Grizzlies. Thank you, Hanks said again. The politest guillotine I've ever heard. They walked him out into red-blue night. The door closed. The room exhaled. I didn't. Not yet. Cole set the camera on the desk. Footage is clean. Audio's good. Manager will lock the SD in her safe. I'll email a hash to your lawyer once I dump a duplicate. My phone buzzed. AVA. Text. Saw the timestamp email. Stay available. When Hanks clears you, we schedule with detective in the morning. I will be at Franklin County probate filing at 9 a.m. ET. The will is live. I typed back. He confessed on bodycam. Arrested. Vehicle to be secured for warrant. Ranger Ortiz can confirm briefing. Ava. Excellent. Tonight, write a clean timeline while it's fresh. Tomorrow, statement, then rest. You did the hardest part. You didn't bargain. The manager slid an envelope across the desk. Backup copies of your room photos, printed. I've worked this desk 26 winters. People who play hero with the woods don't impress me. Paper does. Thank you, I said. Cole poured coffee from the little machine like a ritual. You all right? I thought I'd feel satisfaction, I said. I feel finished. That's what boundaries feel like, he said. Boring to the outside world. Life-saving to the person who set them. I opened my notebook and wrote the timeline like I was billing a client. CMH gate, screenshots, Ranger Ortiz, the line he said, the extraction, the ATV engines, the room setup, the Miranda, the cuffs. Every time the pen paused, I wrote what Dr. Patel warned me about in the margin. No rescuing to regulate guilt. When I capped the pen, the house felt different inside my chest. Not empty. Quiet. I texted Ava one last time. Tomorrow, we finish the paper. Then I start the scholarship for Laura. AVA. Copy. And Mark, be proud of the unglamorous heroism. You chose documents over drama. Juries like that. So do futures. I set the notebook on top of the will cover and turned off the lamp. Outside, the mountains kept their own counsel. Inside, for the first time in years, so did I. Morning smelled like coffee and copier toner at the Flathead County Sheriff's Office. Fluorescence hummed. My statement read like a checklist that learned to walk. Deputy Hanks slid a printed copy across the metal desk. Review and sign, he said. Vehicles under seal in the lot. Warrant in motion. Detective Sarah Martinez will take it from here. Detective Martinez had courtroom eyes calm, indexing, already cross-referencing tomorrow's questions. She clicked her pen once and glanced at the wall clock for the bodycam time sync. Mr. Ellis, I've listened to the initial bodycam audio. She said, we have the quote. We have abandonment. We'll add charges depending on what we find in the vehicle. PLB, food, first aid, maps. Your witness list includes Cole Bennett, the lodge manager, and potentially Ranger Ortiz, who briefed you on abandonment. Correct? Correct, I said. Before she could ask the next thing, my phone buzzed. AVA, text, 8:59 a.m. ET. Walking into Franklin County probate now. 8:59 a.m. I pictured a clock hand, crossing a line and something invisible becoming law. AVA text, 9:07 a.m. ET. Filed. Will is now self-proved and indexed. Certified copies in courier. Bank letters acknowledged. No POA note on file. Call in 5? Detective Martinez gestured. Put her on speaker. We like proactive lawyers. I tapped speaker. Ava, you're on with Detective Martinez. Detective, Ava said, voice clear steel. I've filed Mr. Ellis's estate plan. We've also lodged a notarized affidavit that Mr. Ellis has no active power of attorney. Banks have flagged his profiles to reject phone changes and require in-person ID for beneficiary edits. Good, Martinez said. If any forged POA attempts surface, we want those bank logs. Ava didn't miss a beat. Speaking of forgery, I pulled notary logs in Columbus last night after Mark emailed me those urgent screenshots. An Ohio notary named D. Larkin recorded a POA 6 months ago, allegedly signed by Mark at 4:42 p.m. ID *****OH at an address in Grandview. Problem: Mark's phone GPS places him at Ellis Auto Hilliard at 4:42 p.m., and his service ticket shows him replacing a fuel pump with Eddie from 4:18:56 p.m. We have timestamps, witness, and security video with the shop clock in frame. Martinez looked up sharply. You're saying there's a prior forgery? Alleged and very likely, Ava said. The notary's log has a sequential jump that day. 2 entries missing between 4:35 and 4:50. We subpoena Larkin's journal and CCTV from the UPS store, where he notarizes. If Tyler presented that POA to any institution, we add forgery, identity theft, and attempted financial exploitation. Double twist, clean as a knife. Her why, his forgeries, Martinez scribbled. We'll coordinate with Franklin County. If your notary log gap holds, that's beautiful intent evidence here in Montana. This sire than me destin and now when word. A deputy knocked, leaned in, and handed Martinez a printout. She scanned it, then met my eyes. Warrant granted. We searched your son's vehicle, she said. Recovered. Orange PLB. Still powered on. 2 bare canisters. A first aid kit. Paper maps. Extra rope. And your Avenza card. Photos taken. Items bagged. Exhibit numbers assigned. Cole, who'd come to give his statement, let out a breath through his nose. There's your corroboration, Martinez continued. We also matched the forerunner to motel footage at Apgar. Time in, time out. We'll pull the front desk log. I'll request Ranger Ortiz's briefing sheet. She'll testify she warned both of you that abandonment is criminal. That goes straight to knowledge and intent. Ava came back in. Detective, I'm emailing you the compiled evidence index. Screenshots of Tyler's expiring permits metadata, shows editing app, texts where he threatens to call Mark incompetent to get POA, bank letters noting fraud holds, the notary log excerpt, and the shop's security stills with time overlay. Martinez's pen paused. Counsel, off the record, why this level of zeal? Ava's voice tightened and softened at once. Because this is personal. My mother lost her home to a forged POA a decade ago. She died renting a room she once owned. Every time I file one of these no-POA notices, I'm trying to close a circle. It sended. Silence held for a beat, respectful. I swallowed. You never told me. It's not your burden, she said. But it's why I don't negotiate with entitlement. Mark, if he tries to apologize from the jail phone, let it go to voicemail. We preserve recordings. We don't feed cycles. Martinez slid a form across the desk. Victim notification preferences, she said. Check if you want alerts for bail, release, plea, trial. I checked all. Some alarms are worth waking for. A detective from evidence rapped twice and entered with a clear bag. Exhibit B12, he said. Inside, my PLB glowed a dumb, faithful green. He read the serial for the camera, and we nodded together like 2 men identifying a body. Martinez stacked the files. Next, we take Tyler for initial appearance this afternoon, she said. We'll recommend no contact and a high bond. Then we pass to the county attorney for charging. Attempted deliberate homicide, criminal endangerment, and pending Ohio coordination forgery and identity theft for the POA attempt. Your one-party recordings and the bodycam confession are anchors. Cole leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I'll testify. I'll bring the SD card, and we'll sign a chain of custody affidavit. Good, Martinez said. She looked at me. You did 3 things right, Mr. Ellis. Survived, documented, and didn't bargain. Juries like simple stories with paper. Quote, Ava's voice returned. Last item, Mark. I've opened the Laura Ellis Scholarship Fund account with a seed gift from you. The board docs are ready. When this calms down, we announce, we honor Laura with something that can't be gambled away. I closed my eyes for a second. Thank you. 2 final reminders, Ava added. 1. Do not respond to jail letters. Forward to me, unopened. 2. If anyone contacts you about a settlement, you say, my lawyer will respond, and hang up. Martinez stood. The meeting was over without being rushed. We'll walk you through victim services and get you back to the motel. Tomorrow we'll tape a formal interview. Then you go home and start whatever comes next. Reason Rider. Outside, Glacier wore the same hard blue, indifferent to human paperwork. Inside the station, we were making a different kind of weather. On the way out, Cole fell in beside me. You hear that? He asked. What? That's the sound of a story with consequences, he said. A lot of folks never get that. Back at Apgar, the lodge manager slid me a small stack, certified copies of my room photos, the printed hash of Cole's video, a receipt for the safe log. For your lawyer, she said, and for you. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from an unknown 406 number. I knew what it was without pressing play. The first jail apology, 5 pages of manipulation disguised as grief. I didn't listen. I forwarded it to Ava with the subject, Unopened Jail VM1, and wrote, Do not respond across the top of my notebook page like a headline. I set the notebook on the will cover again, because some anchors you tie twice. Then I opened voice memos and said what I wanted the future to remember. Double twist recorded, Ava's why her mother and Tyler's forgery the notary gap. This isn't just about surviving. It's about ending a pattern with paper. Outside, a raven cut a black line across the white sky. Inside, I poured coffee and watched the steam rise like a small, ordinary victory. The arraignment was brisk and clinical, like an oil change for a wreck you don't plan to fix. Flathead County Courtroom 2 smelled like varnish and winter coats. Tyler shuffled in wearing county orange, wrists cuffed, chin lifted on pride he couldn't afford. The judge read the sheet. Attempted deliberate homicide, pending. Criminal endangerment, tampering divided by threats. No contact order granted on the first. Ask no calls, no letters, no third-party messages, no posts. The county attorney cited the body cam quote and the vehicle inventory, PLB, maps food, as corroboration. Defense asked for own recognizance. The court set high bond with conditions. Surrender passport, GPS monitor if released. Stay 500 feet from me and my business. No firearms. I gave a short victim impact statement from the wooden lectern, hands flat to quiet the shake. I didn't talk about betrayal. I talked about risk. Wilderness abandonment isn't a prank. It weaponizes geography. He took the PLB and the food. He said, Go meet the grizzlies. He intended the outcome. The judge nodded like someone checking torque specs, then read the order into the record. Outside, Detective Martinez caught my eye. Paper travels, she said. We'll send the Montana packet to Franklin County for the POA forgery leads. I'll update when the lab pulls prints off the PLB and maps. Back at Apgar, I sat with Cole and the lodge manager to sign chain of custody forms. The SD card went into a tamper-evident bag with bold numbers that looked like a promise. I took photos of every signature and emailed them to Ava with the subject, chain SD divided by bodycam divided by vehicle final. Then I drove alone along Lake McDonald, glassy and indifferent, and called Dr. Rhea Patel from a turnout where a raven watched me like a therapist's clock. I'm not angry, I said when she picked up. I'm empty. That's withdrawal, she said. You stopped using rescuing to regulate guilt. The system in your head is screaming for a fix. Sit through it. How? Rituals. Write your boundary policy as if it were an HR manual. People obey policies more than feelings. And this passioned, so I did. That afternoon at the motel desk that had become my war room. I titled it, Ellis Family and Company Boundary Policy, Reverend 1, and wrote it like I expected to be audited. Financial boundaries, family, no cash transfers. Any support requires a written agreement. Purpose, amount, end date. Must be co-signed by counsel. Violations end support permanently. Communication boundaries. No contact under threats, smears, or urgency scams. All substantive family business in writing. Call logs retained. Legal boundaries. Any mention of POA, beneficiary changes, or the will ends the conversation. Refer to counsel. Business boundaries. Access to LLC accounts limited to me and Eddie. Annual external audit. Dual control on wires. Employees trained on elder exploitation red flags. Crisis protocol. If unsafe, call 911. If harassed, file report. No private deals, no family arbitration. I signed it. Then I sent it to Ava, Eddie, and to my own surprise, Dr. Patel. 3 witnesses. No back doors. Eddie called within 10 minutes. Boss. That policy is the first grown-up thing we've done in years. Post it in the break room, I said. We'll run drills like a fire plan. If anyone calls asking to confirm my competence, you loop in Ava and log the call. Already made a script, he said. Polite and useless, my favorite combo. When the day sagged, Martinez rang. Quick update. The judge signed a search warrant for phone records. If your son pitched that forged POA, the bank access logs will show it. Also, Ranger Ortiz emailed her briefing notes. She warned you both that abandonment is criminal. That's actual notice. Defense can't claim ignorance. Thank you, I said. What next? Plea posture depends on the county attorney, she said. But with the body cam, I expect plea negotiations to start with a number that sounds like a mortgage. Either way, you'll get Vine notifications for every custody change. She paused. Get some rest, Mr. Ellis. You did the rare thing. You chose consequences over closure. Night brought a polite blizzard and the kind of quiet that only comes after a verdict, even if the court date's months away. I opened voice memos and drafted the statement I'd read to future me when the guilt cravings hit. You don't owe access to people who weaponize affection. Boundaries are not punishment, they're oxygen. You tried to buy peace. It didn't take. You wrote peace down, signed it, and filed it. In the morning, I flew home to Columbus. In my office at Ellis Auto, I taped the boundary policy inside my file cabinet and booked bi-weekly with Dr. Patel for 2 months. I met with Ava to open the Laura Ellis Scholarship Fund. Formally Board Resolution, EIN, 501, 3 Council Referral. We wired the seed gift. The bank officer shook my hand like we had rescued someone. Maybe we had. That afternoon, the first victim notification pinged. Bond denied. Next hearing set. I forwarded it to Ava and Cole with a single line. Paper works. Then I called the shop floor meeting. Grease smell, torque guns, my people. Here's what changes, I said, holding up the policy. No more handshake loans, no more mystery wires. If anyone asks you for my signature by phone, the answer is no. If anyone says family, you say email. If anything feels toxic, you walk it to me or to Eddie. We fix cars, we don't fix secrets. They nodded, the kind of nod you get when a crew has watched a storm and sees the sun instead of denial. That night, back in Dublin, I set Laura's photo on the kitchen table and read the scholarship charter out loud. I poured coffee, not whiskey. I slept with my phone on Do Not Disturb and my conscience on low idle. Justice isn't cinematic. It's forms and stamps and showing up. It's also a line you draw and don't step over even when it would feel good to erase it. In the morning, there was a letter from the County Victim Services packet, a pamphlet on impact statements, a list of dates. I put them under a magnet on the fridge like homework and smiled at how ordinary it looked. Boundaries, I've learned, don't make a bang, they make a home. The first board meeting for the Laura Ellis Scholarship Fund happened on a Tuesday that looked like any other oil on my knuckles. Invoices in the tray just with a suit jacket over my shop shirt. Ava chaired. Eddie took minutes like torque specs. We adopted bylaws, signed the conflict of interest forms, and approved the EIN and 501c. 3. Application packet. I wired the seed gift from my personal account. The bank manager notarized the initial resolution and slid copies across the desk with the look people give when they've seen a bad story end differently. We voted our first grant. Full tuition for a tech student from Columbus State, first in her family, already working nights. The board letter used words I hadn't said out loud since Laura died, in her name. That weekend, the garage looked like a county fair for grown-ups. We rolled cars outside and turned Ellis Auto into a fundraiser. Coffee, chili, a silent auction full of donated gear. Cole flew in and stood on a service bay with a mic. Wilderness isn't the enemy, he said. Isolation is especially the kind you get inside a toxic family. Communities save people. So does paper. People clapped like they knew exactly what he meant. An envelope waited in my mailbox Monday. Certified copies of my will, self-proving affidavit, and the court's file stamp. I slid one copy behind the boundary policy on my cabinet door like an airbag I hoped I'd never need. The victim notifications kept coming, hearing dates, filings, beeps that didn't run my life anymore. I met Dr. Patel for coffee instead of a session. "How does it feel?" she asked. "To tell your body the emergency is over." "Like I'm learning to idle," I said. "Not stall, not redline. Idle." "Good," she said. "Now practice peace on boring days, not just dramatic ones." So I did. I wrote the shop rule addendum, dual signatures for any wire, 2-person verification for vendor changes, quarterly external audits, a poster in the break room on elder financial exploitation and how to report it. Eddie ran a drill. An employee pretending to be a nephew, asking for my account numbers. The receptionist followed the script. "Please email counsel." She hung up and laughed like she'd bench-pressed shame. When the county attorney called to say they'd filed the information charges formalized, hearing calendared, I didn't feel victory. I felt maintenance. Consequences aren't revenge. They're the braces that let a bent beam hold weight again. A week later, I stood by Lake McDonald again, but this time on a live stream, announcing the scholarship. We'll fund certifications for techs, tuition for veterans changing careers, and grants for wildlife conservation on trails where good people do their best work. The comments filled with names of teachers, mechanics, rangers. Laura would have loved that. A stack of ordinary lives made sturdier. At night, I still walk past the entry table and steady Laura's frame even though it doesn't tremble anymore. Sometimes I stop and talk to the glass, a habit that stayed. "We did it," I tell her. "We stopped buying peace. We built it." She has life. Tyler jail mail #2 arrived and went straight to Ava, still sealed. I didn't read jail mail #1 either. The habit of not rescuing is like any muscle, you work it until it holds your life without shaking. I kept one promise to myself. If I felt the old guilt sniffing around, I'd open voice memos and read my own policy like it was law. It works. Not because the phone is magic, but because I am the one listening. VO closing analysis and lessons. 15-20%. Boundaries are logistics, not speeches. Mine live on paper. No POA affidavit. A will with a self-proving stamp. A boundary policy with signatures. A shop playbook that assumes bad actors use phones in urgency. Feelings follow systems, not the other way around. Toxic patterns feed on secrecy and speed. Tyler's expiring permits was a scarcity scam. The fix was delay, and documents ask for PDFs, metadata, receipts. Slow is your friend when someone else is rushing. Gaslighting dies on record. Go meet the Grizzlies. Would have been a rumor without a body cam, a witness, and a clean timeline. If you're in a one-party state, announce recordings. If not, prioritize witnesses and video. Love isn't a wire. I called rescuing care because it calmed my anxiety. It built his entitlement, not his character. If generosity is your gift, aim it. Scholarships, veterans, forests, people and places that actually need saving. Therapy is a tool, not a confession of weakness. Dr. Patel didn't hand me a hug. She handed me habits. No rescuing to regulate guilt is now a line I keep like electrical code. Communities are insurance policies. Rangers, mechanics, managers, lawyers, clerks. The unremarkable army that keeps a person from disappearing when a private disaster tries to make you small. Thank them, pay them, be them. On the day I signed the final vendor checks for the fundraiser, Cole texted a photo, a new trailhead sign in Glacier with fresh bolts. "We replaced a broken post," he wrote. "Thought you'd like it straight." I stared at the photo longer than it deserved. A straight post where a crooked one stood. That's the whole story. I locked the shop, flipped the sign to closed, and watched the lights settle over lifts and tires, and the life I kept. Justice didn't arrive with trumpets. It arrived with forms, stamps, and the refusal to argue with a storm. Family is love plus boundaries. Without boundaries, it's hostage-taking. I learned that in the cold and wrote it down warm. If I had to boil it down, here's the spine of the story. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's maintenance. The biggest lesson I learned is that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an essay for safeguarding your mental health, your bank accounts, or your front door. I used to confuse rescuing with loving. Turns out, Rescuing to regulate guilt is how you become an enabler and keep a toxic cycle alive. Boundaries aren't speeches, they're systems. Written evidence, timestamps, witnesses, policies. Gaslighting dies on paper. So does the myth that family entitlement is love. Therapy helped me swap panic for habits. Law helped me swap chaos for structure. And community rangers, managers, clerks, lawyers proved that the opposite of isolation is not noise. It's documentation, plus people who show up. If you're in the storm right now, try this starter kit. Write a one-page boundary policy for yourself. Announce no more emergency wires. Move serious conversations to email, and treat urgent or else as a scam until proven otherwise. Save your generosity for places that don't weaponize it. Now it's your turn. AITA for pressing charges and changing the will after being abandoned in the backcountry? What would you have done? Have you ever dealt with an entitled or narcissistic family member who tried gaslighting you? What paper trail tricks or scripts kept you sane? If you've been the enabler before, what boundary actually stuck? Drop your survival tips, scripts, and "wish I'd known" moments below. Someone scrolling at 2 a.m. needs your blueprint.